NBA Friday doubleheader on ESPN. LeBron and the Cavs take on the Hawks. That one's at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then Fire and Ice and the Pelicans host the Spurs. Now to America's team. Jerry Jones' daughter, Dallas Cowboys Executive Vice President and Chief Brand Officer Charlotte Jones Anderson, said in a radio interview recently that she is the one who keeps Jerry and Stephen Jones off social media because she doesn't trust them and she's in charge of the brand. She was laughing when she said it, though. Stephen A., your reaction to your favorite team?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not surprised. I mean, basically what she's saying is that a grown man, a grandfather, a father, a leader, an owner, a president, a GM wannabe, a coach wannabe is out of control. And somebody has to reel him in. And, we can't trust that he'll be able to reel himself in. So Charlotte Jones Anderson, is here to keep my daddy in check. That's what she's saying, and my brother in check. I mean, so it just speaks to the haphazardness, to dysfunctionality that exists and permeates through the Dallas Cowboys. It also explains why they haven't won a Super Bowl since 1995. We get all of this. I mean, it's not a problem here. I mean, I applaud her for enlightening us about the discipline that has been displayed. Max Kellerman has been giving credit to Stephen Jones all of these years when, in fact, it was the daughter that reeled both of them in. So she's behind the scenes doing what she does. Bravo. Bravo.
Look, I see it a little differently here. I think these are the kids helping the father, and it's good. Jerry Jones does not run an organization as well as Stephen Jones. And so Stephen Jones is in a position where he's wresting some control from his father, which has to be, I mean, his dad, Jerry has to be going along with that. It's not like Stephen Jones is going to win a power struggle. It's that Jerry's empowered him to do so. And same thing with Charlotte here. He has a daughter who's saying, okay, just like her brother can run the franchise, at least the player personnel decision stuff, better than the dad, she can also kind of handle the brand better. Both children show more discipline than the father. But you've got to give Jerry credit because none of it would be possible if he insisted no, because the buck stops with him. So he's recognized that his kids have more discipline in this area than he does, and he's enabling them to help him. It's a nice family story, Stephen A. Smith.
It's a beautiful family story. I'm so touched. I mean, it just touches me in the most affectionate of ways. I mean, Jerry Jones, a kind man, a decent man, a billionaire who's a marketing wizard, deserves a whole bunch of credit. I hope to meet Jerry Jones and have a conversation with him someday. And I promise I will be very kind and I will be very respectful because he deserves it. But I also would like to point out that all of these things in some way or another has contributed to the absence of any Lombardi trophies hovering around Arlington, Texas. That is just the truth, and I think it's important to point that out. We appreciate the leadership of Charlotte Jones Anderson. Absolutely. But it hasn't produced
Jerry's influence recedes and theirs comes to the fore, maybe that's going to change. The Dallas Cowboys certainly look more poised to win one of those, Stephen A.
You need to give him credit.
Let Charlotte Jones Anderson continue to do what she's been doing. Don't change. Keep doing what you're doing.
Stephen A., it is a strength to be aware of your weaknesses. You always talk about that. You got to give him credit for that and for keeping good people around him. It's family. It's family business.
Molly. Right. Keep doing what you're doing, Charlotte. You keep doing what you're doing. As long as y'all ain't hosting no Lombardi trophies, I'm good.
All right, let's move on, gentlemen. So after creating controversy last season by refusing to stand for the national anthem, Colin Kaepernick says he will stand during the anthem next season. Sources telling ESPN Cap no longer wants his past method of protest to detract from the positive change that he believes has been created, sources saying. And Kaepernick also believes the amount of national discussion on social inequality affirmed the message he was trying to deliver. Max, your reaction?
Yep. I'm disappointed in Colin Kaepernick because last year I thought that it wasn't just an issue that he had nothing to lose, and so he was making a stand or a kneel, sit and then a kneel. It's that he really believed these things and was willing to sacrifice for them. It's for principles. Even though the current administration at the time, the Obama administration, was trying to untangle drug laws that led to mass incarceration and all these things that are actually bigger issues institutionally than simply police interactions with citizens. And again, the current administration then, and then what would have been the choice in the election, the other choice than the one that was actually made, also was probably going to be better for those kinds of interactions and mass incarceration, et cetera, the kind of stuff that he professed was important to him. So the situation was better then. It appears worse now. And now's when he's choosing, well, I've done enough. I'm going to stand. But it seems to me, in fact, he thinks he can get a starting job in the NFL and doesn't want to rock the boat. Now, I realize that he's done a lot. He has done a lot. He's raised money, some of his own money, and that's real and that's serious, and kudos to Colin Kaepernick. But he's given me the impression of like a college sophomore who's read a book, and now that's what he knows about the subject and is really sure about it. And he gave me that impression at the time when I saw the Castro T-shirt and some other things, and now he's giving me the impression that, in fact, it's a bit opportunistic, that he made a stand or a sit or a kneel when he had nothing to lose, and now he has something to lose, and even though the situation is more dire, now doesn't want to rock the boat. And I hate to say that because I supported him early on in his protest, and I know he's raised money and done some good things, and maybe he is following his conscience, but that's not just what it appears to be to me at this moment.
Colin Kaepernick is looking at himself and saying, my career might be in jeopardy. I'm looking for a new contract and to prolong my NFL career. And this is a stance I need to change. It's incredibly opportunistic. It's flagrantly so. He's not fooling anybody this way. And I'll tell you something else, too. Rather than him talking about he would stand for the national anthem, I'd appreciate it if he went out and said, I'm going to vote next time. That would resonate far more profoundly with me. Him exercising an absolute privilege and the greatest proponent of change that we have in existence in the United States of America, going to the polls and exercising your right to vote. If he announced that that's what he was going to do, as opposed to standing for the national anthem, I would have far more respect for his position and what he has to say. But because he didn't vote, and because he's flip-flopped on the whole national anthem issue, and because of the timing of it all, as it appears to be flagrantly opportunistic, I'm not buying it one bit, and more importantly, I don't give a damn. I don't care if he stands or sits for the national anthem. It means nothing to me. What he needs to do is announce to the world and the young kids out there that he's going to exercise his right to vote.
Quickly, Molly, I totally agree. I totally agree with that point, Stephen A. In this, especially when he essentially made the statement that that there was an equivalency between the candidates in the last general election, and in terms of the issues that were important to him, there was no difference. That was an idiotic position to take at the time. History has borne that out since then, and for him now to, after claiming that and not voting, and setting a very bad example, to that now say his protest is over in that sense. It shows you that, I agree with your sentiment.
And let me just add one thing in fairness, because we're not being totally fair here. And I was just as hard as Colin Kaepernick as you guys were with the Fidel Castro shirt and other moments that I found completely outrageous. He's still continuing to post and be socially active, whether it's Black History Month or now, Women's History Month. But he didn't say that he's going to stop being socially active or stop protesting. He's just not going to. He's not going to use that method because he found that it detracted from the message. And a lot of people agreed with that. Can you give him some credit from that he realized it's not working? So let me find a new method and try to right the ship and have a career.
I would like to
he
answer
didn't make that claim. He claimed it raised awareness sufficiently. He made the opposite claim. Go ahead, Steve.
Molly, with all due respect, I would appreciate it if you stop accusing me of being unfair. I am not being unfair to Colin Kaepernick. I am a black man, and I do not like the fact that this man said that he would not vote. That is where my focus lies. I am not being unfair to him. I am being incredibly fair. I'm being incredibly accurate, and I'm being
Maybe he's going to vote next time around, Stephen A.
Well, again,
maybe he changed in that regard, too.
I'm sorry, Molly. I did not say he was going to vote or wasn't. What I said is, rather than him letting the world know that he's going to stand for the national anthem, I would have preferred that he let the world know that I'm going to vote. That doesn't mean he's not going to vote next go round. I'm saying that I would have preferred that was the announcement that we were talking about right now. I don't care whether he's going to stand for the national anthem or not. I care about him not exercising his right to vote. That's what I care about. That's what I would have preferred to be talking about.
No one who pays attention to the world, no one, would argue that at the time he made the protest, the issues that he was protesting were in more dire straits, that we were in more dire straits vis-a-vis those issues than we are today. And yet the protest was then. He's claiming it raised sufficient awareness that now he doesn't have to do it anymore. That's a hard claim to believe.
In my opinion, just because he's choosing to stand doesn't mean he's a sellout in that sense. But we have to leave it there because Stephen A. has final take, and he's reacting to the news that Joel Embiid is out for the season. Are Sixers fans wrong for trusting the process? Stay tuned for this.
And LeBron and Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. I understand the styles matchup argument, but we just saw the Warriors, as I mentioned yesterday, go across the country for the second of back-to-backs. They didn't have Kevin Durant for most of the game, and Steph Curry spent his second consecutive night ice cold. The Wizards, one of the top teams in the East, are playing at home and highly motivated, on a roll, and won by the skin of their teeth. And that's because the Golden State Warriors, like the Spurs, are extremely well coached. They're familiar with each other. They play as a machine. They have unselfish players. They can play the modern brand of basketball as well or better than anyone. And when you add Kevin Durant to the mix, and you Steph Curry, MVP, Kevin Durant, MVP, Klay Thompson, they have an offense, Stephen A., where a lot of the times the best option for the opposing defense is a wide-open Klay Thompson, who might be the greatest shooter ever, or at least capable of getting hotter than anyone ever. That oftentimes is the best option for the defense, and to mention nothing of Draymond Green and guys on the bench like Iguodala and Livingston and all that, and the championship pedigree. This one, I get why people would talk about the Spurs, but they should not be hopeful that Durant comes back and plays for the Warriors if they believe, if the idea is, yeah, because we have a better chance against the Warriors with Durant than against the Spurs, because they are wrong about that. They have a much better chance against the Spurs than against the Warriors at full strength.
I'm not sure about that, and I don't see how you can say that considering that experience matters, savvy matters, tempo matters, physicality matters. All of those things come into play come playoff time. If you're just looking at it in a vacuum and you're looking at the level of talent that exists and you're dreaming about this epic matchup between the Cavs and the Warriors, it's understandable, Max. The issue in question, however, is this. We've been talking so much about the Golden State Warriors. Let me give you a reminder. Do you realize that the San Antonio Spurs are 46-13? Do you realize that the San Antonio Spurs are the number one ranked defense in the National Basketball Association? When you combine that with the fact that I look at some of their shooting in terms of three-point field goal percentage, they're number one. Number one. So they make threes, all right? They take great shots. They play great defense, and it's a collective effort. And more importantly, the tempo that they play at is not conducive to something that would be advantageous for the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James
tempo, other than tempo, though, Stephen A., everything you just said about the Spurs applies to Golden State, but with Durant, better players, period. Like, Tony Parker's good, even though he's older. He ain't close to Steph Curry. As great as Kawhi Leonard is, Kevin Durant is better. Draymond, just think about the starting fives. Tony Parker, Danny Green, a very old Pau Gasol, still effective offensively, defensively not as much. LaMarcus Aldridge, you want to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green? It's just more talent on one side, much more.
First of all, Max, a couple of things you got to consider. Understand that the San Antonio Spurs have 10 players averaging better than 17 minutes a game. 10. It's number one. Number two, when you talk about age, we're going to assume, because we make these prognostications and beyond based on people being healthy on the court playing. Once you're healthy and you're on the court playing, it's no back-to-back. You're getting about 2 days rest between games, okay, because you're healthy for each game. So I don't want to hear anything about age, because at that particular juncture, when you're rested enough to perform, it comes down to your skill, not just physically, but mentally, schematically. All of those things factor into the equation. What I'm saying to you is that even though Golden State is elite as a defensive unit, they're elite when it comes to steals. They're elite when it comes to their length and how they're able to defend perimeter play. But if you're Cleveland and you're hell-bent on going down low and imposing your physical will against them, that is the weakness of the Golden State Warriors. It is not the weakness of the San Antonio Spurs. That's what I'm saying.
By the way, just remember the playoffs the last couple of years. San Antonio looked like a well-oiled machine early, and then a younger, more athletic team ran them out of the building a couple times. I mean, that's how they got bounced recently. I don't see fundamentally, at least in terms of their starting five, how it's going to be any different.
You're right about that, but that's always against a Western Conference foe. Never in the finals has San Antonio got run out of the gym.
Stephen A., I'm just so grateful that you're optimistic about these matchups in the West and the NBA. This is a good thing.
Ain't it special?
Because a
Ain't
happy
it special,
Stephen A. is a happy Molly
I gotta admit, I'm starting to feel the NBA fever now, Max. I'm starting to feel the NBA fever.
Things are turning around. We're feeling good about it. On that note, gentlemen, let's leave it there because we need to talk about a few NFL items. Coming up next, the Patriots are looking like they're going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo after all. Could he be the Aaron Rodgers to Tom Brady's Brett Favre? Plus, could the former bad boy NBA Friday doubleheader on ESPN, LeBron and the Cavs take on the Hawks. That one's at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then Fire and Ice and the Pelicans host the Spurs. Now to America's team. Jerry Jones' daughter, Dallas Cowboys Executive Vice President and Chief Brand Officer Charlotte Jones-Anderson, said in a radio interview recently that she is the one who keeps Jerry and Stephen Jones off social media because she doesn't trust them and she's in charge of the brand. She was laughing when she said it, though. Stephen A., your reaction to your favorite team?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not surprised. I mean, basically what she's saying is that a grown man, a grandfather, a father, a leader, an owner, a president, a GM wannabe, a coach wannabe is out of control. And somebody has to reel him in. And, we can't trust that he'll be able to reel himself in. So Charlotte Jones-Anderson, is here to keep my daddy in check. That's what she's saying. And my brother in check. I mean, so it just speaks to the haphazardness, to dysfunctionality that exists and permeates through the Dallas Cowboys. It also explains why they haven't won a Super Bowl since 1995. We get all of this. I mean, it's not a problem here. I mean, I applaud her for enlightening us about the discipline that has been displayed. Max Kellerman has been giving credit to Stephen Jones all of these years when, in fact, it was the daughter that reeled both of them in. So she's behind the scenes doing what she does. Bravo.